The war in Iran is no longer just a military conflict. It has transformed into a full-blown economic war, and the global economy is already starting to scream. I'm Josh for Undercurrent. We are watching the swift end of a decades-old system where the U.S. treated the Gulf states as vassal states to maintain the dominance of the petrodollar. The Strait of Hormuz is a geographic reality that no one can change. It's an incredibly narrow passage that 20% of the world's oil has to pass through. Europe doesn't have its own oil. They need the Middle East. Major players in Asia like China, Japan, and South Korea are in the same boat. This is a total chokehold. The Western Hemisphere doesn't buy as much from there, but for the rest of the world, this is existential. If this artery is severed, the heartbeat of the global economy stops. It boggles the mind that President Trump and his advisors didn't think this through. For 75 years, Iran has had to figure out how to defend itself from external interference. It started with the overthrow of their elected government, Mr. Mossadegh, back in 1953. For 3/4 of a century, Iran has been preparing for this exact scenario. Iran is not going to count on a military fight because that's agreeing to fight on terms where you're at a terrible disadvantage. They had to figure out how to defend themselves. Just months ago, we saw a 12-day war that served as a dress rehearsal. Iran realized they had to be prepared because the US and Israel were ready to strike. Iran did exactly what Europe and the US did in the Ukraine war. They turned to economic warfare. When military might isn't enough, you strike the pocketbook. Mr. Biden said the ruble would become rubble. It didn't happen. But you understand, when your military doesn't work, you try economic sanctions. That's what Iran is doing. The West used to joke that Russia was just a gas station pretending to be a country. Well, Iran is using that same energy to strike a blow as powerful as any bomb. They don't have to sink every ship. They just have to threaten them. Every tanker is insured, and no insurer will let a ship through if they can't cover the risk. No insurance means no shipping. The trade stopped, and the price of oil went through the roof. The United States discovered that economic warfare can be just as devastating as missiles and drones. Voters are pissed off. When filling up your car costs $75 instead of $35 and you don't have that difference, the political pressure becomes unbearable. Look at the election results in Florida. The district where Mar-a-Lago is located, a Republican stronghold, actually went Democratic. It's a massive slap in the face for Trump. Mr. Trump, desperate as popularity polls indicate, people are learning that fertilizer, which all farmers need, comes out of the oil, and that's going to be expensive. To stop the bleeding, Trump took away the sanctions against Russia that have been there since 2022. He wants Russian oil on the market, but he's literally financing their war in Ukraine. 2 days later, he removed sanctions on Iranian oil. Now Iran can sell its oil anywhere at over $100 a barrel. He's giving his enemies the exact money they need to keep fighting him. As Professor Wolf notes, it's a system that solves a problem by making another problem worse. He's boxed himself in. Every move he makes just digs the hole deeper. For 50 years, there was a deal. The Gulf states allowed Western companies to drill, sold the oil in dollars, and then took those dollars and lent them back to the US government. This system maintained the dominance of the petrodollar. The world had to buy oil in dollars, which kept the US economy afloat and allowed us to run massive deficits. The US is the most indebted country on earth, running trillion-dollar deficits. We borrowed that money because the Gulf states had faith in the system. That faith is gone. American bases in Qatar and the UAE were meant to protect them, but this war has proven those bases don't protect. They make them targets. The US military hasn't been able to stop the drones. The status quo has been smashed. These countries are never going back. They can't be the target in a war that has now become devastating for all of them. There is a massive border between Iran and Russia. Russia can move anything it wants, trucks, supplies, technology, into Iran without anyone being able to stop it. And China has the greatest manufacturing capacity in the world. They can produce an endless number of missiles and drones and move them through Russia into Iran. Virtual limitless backup. Lavrov used the phrase, "This might be the beginning of World War III. They have virtual limitless backup. You can damage them all you want, they'll just move it in." Even the shift to green energy is happening for financial reasons. No one wants to be dependent on a resource that can jump $50 a barrel overnight. It's about security, not just ecology. Take Cuba. The US tried to starve them of oil, leading to blackouts. Now Chinese freighters are delivering solar panels. Cuba is never going back to oil. No one can take away the sun. The executives at Exxon and Gulf are terrified. This is a bigger danger to them than the entire climate movement ever was. The transition is irreversible and financially driven. For regular people, this means stagflation, a recession combined with rising prices. Diesel has gone from $3.50 to $5.50. Everything you wear and eat gets to you on a truck. When the trucker's bill goes up, your bill goes up. Trump promised to lower prices, but now he's presiding over a massive spike in the cost of living. People are at the end of their ropes. Everything you had for breakfast came to the store on a truck, and that truck burns diesel. In the end, you and I are going to pay for that. Even the Europeans are jumping ship. The German defense minister made it clear Germany is not participating. He said, "No one asked us about our feelings or what this would mean for us." The Belgian foreign minister even suggested ending all restrictions on Russia. Europe needs that cheap oil and gas to survive. Their businesses are closing. They call it de-industrialization. Their companies are leaving, going to the United States or other parts where oil is cheaper. The desperation of Mr. Trump is now meeting the desperation of those leaders over there. We are in a very dangerous place when phrases like World War III start becoming part of the regular conversation. The whole world is wondering what a desperate administration will do next. This was a war of choice for the US, but for Iran, it's existential. They've made sure there is a cost for the entire world. The transitions we're seeing are moving faster than expected. I'm Josh, for Undercurrent. If this resonated with you, like the video, share it, and leave a comment. Subscribe for more global shifts. Thanks for the support. I'll see you in the next one.